everyone. We are very excited today to have a corporate HR leader with us. And she has been in the industry for more than 20 years. She's an executive coach and a senior leader, an advocate of diversity and inclusion. She is passionate about women and leadership. And today she's come here to share her story with us. And I want to start by welcoming Shailaja Sharma to Your Story Matters. And before we start, I just want to narrate a very interesting incident that Shell shared with me a couple of days back. Shailaja. Shailaja shared with me. She has been known as Shell for most of her corporate career. And recently, she did a post on LinkedIn where she declared that she is henceforth going to call herself Shailaja. That LinkedIn post got more than 15,000 views and a lot of internet love. And people welcomed her in coming into her own story. So we would like to start with that first. Shell, can you share this journey of being from Shell to Shailaja with us first?
Sure, Anthony, thank you for having me here. So the story, as you said, began for me 20 years ago when I joined corporate life, and times were very, very different then. So I had a set of people that worked around me who were not very comfortable with how to pronounce my name. So my given name, as you know, and now the world knows, is Shailaja. And because people found it difficult to pronounce and it was awkward and uncomfortable, and they were constantly mispronouncing it actually, they thought it would be more convenient to just call me Shell. And at that time, I didn't feel like I could change it or challenge it or question it. So I just accepted it and, went on. And actually, I like the fact that it made my life and other people's life more convenient. So I always thought to myself, it's a small thing to give up. It's just the change of a name without realizing that it was a core part of my identity. So what I was actually surrendering was the name that had been given to me by my parents. It comes from a very big Sanskrit word. It's the name of a goddess. So I have a lot of history and culture tied to my name. And up till that point, I had actually been very proud of it. And from then on, whenever somebody tried to use my original name, Shailaja, I found myself being apologetic, explaining it away, and sometimes to a certain degree being almost ashamed of the fact that I had, quote unquote, a difficult name. Right. So it's been a journey and a process for me. And I think finally, I just love the fact that I can just stand up in my own skin and say, this is me, this is who I am Shailaja. And I think it's like you mentioned, right? I've got so much internet love. People have written to me from everywhere. The story resonates not only for people from an Indian origin, but I've got people writing it to me from Sweden, from Kenya, from Zimbabwe, from the US. It's just, I think there's a university of message in that story, which is about being proud of who you are and just standing up in your own identity. So yeah, it's been a terrific response for me.
So what prompted this? What prompted you to, after so many years of working in international environments across 5 countries, what is it that prompted you to make this change?
So all this while I've been working a lot, as you said, in the diversity and inclusion space, and I also am an executive coach. So I work with a lot of leaders, both men and women actually. And at some point, somebody asked me that question: why do you use that name, Shell, when it isn't your given name? So I found myself narrating that story. But the interesting thing is, they asked me, and how do you feel about that? And that really triggered this, I would like to say, thought process, but more than a thought process, I would call it a feeling process, because this just brought out all these emotions and conversations. And I realized that maybe at some point, I also needed to role model what I was talking about, which was your own sense of identity is a very powerful thing, whether you're a man or a woman. And for you to claim that and to stand up in that. And there is a zeitgeist, there is a spirit of the times where people are consciously coming out, standing up and saying, this is who I am and this is what I'm proud of. I'm very proud of it. I think I just got swept up in that as well. And it was almost as if my voice couldn't be contained anymore. So I just poured it all out in the form of a post, and then I posted it because I really wanted the world to know.
Okay, so this change in name, does it signal a change in the way you will work from now on, or the way you will define your goals, or the way you will lead people and the messages that you will give to your teams? How does this look from now on?
Yeah, yeah. So I think so I can see that it's a process, it's a journey for me, but it's becoming far more explicit. So I want to really stand up and help people be the best possible version of themselves. And that doesn't mean adapting or changing to a preferred leadership style or model, or trying to conform to a different identity that, the world or society expects them to be, but to be very, very conscious of who they are. So a certain sense of strong awareness, conscious awareness, and then explicit awareness. I think what happens is we become aware of it internally, but then we get worried about judgments from other people. What will people say? What will my parents say? What will my office say, or my significant other? What will society, my friends say? And then I kind of hold back, and I do see people doing that. So I want to encourage them to really put themselves out there in the world, and say it with pride. This is my identity. This is who I am. Whatever they choose to be. No conformity, no link.
How important do you think is acknowledgement and understanding of one's own identity in this whole leadership game?
Um, I think it's the start and the end point. And I say that because if you don't know who you are, you will never know who you want to be. And I find very often people trapped in these mental models, these archetypes of what society has said. This is what you need to be like a parent. This is what you need to be like a spouse. And often they're defined by the society and the culture around them. So, for example, in the Chinese culture, there might be a different expectation of what a parent needs to be. And in Indian culture, very different. In a Scandinavian culture, again, a different expectation. And then we work to try and conform to that ideal archetype of what that role is expected from us. And somewhere along the way, we submerge our own needs and wants and who we are in service of delivering to those expectations. So I try and help people pull back, understand who you are fundamentally, what are the choices you want to make, and then you can choose, right? So say, look at me. You see me dressed in a very different way from my corporate image out there that has been up to now. And that's because 20 years ago, when I started in what I call the corporate game, the expectation was that we would dress in Western formals. So my outfits up till this point were very consciously, my entire wardrobe actually was a very conscious, I would say, stereotype of a corporate Western working woman. It's only when I started my journey of making my identity explicit and being proud and comfortable in it. Starts with comfort. If you can't be proud, at least be comfortable in it, right? So it took me a while to get comfortable in it. And I realized the other aspects that I really enjoyed were Indian clothes, Indian jewelry, Indian cost, right? It's somewhere our cultural artifacts in terms of what we wear almost become costumes, right? We get to wear them once or twice a year on some festive occasion. If we're seen out with them on a normal day, we're almost trying to explain and rationalize it away. Oh, I'm wearing this because I'm going to a wedding. I'm wearing this because I'm attending a festival, right? These are not costumes. These are part of our heritage. This is centuries of handlooms and handicrafts that we've grown up with. So I now say each thread tells a story. That is the story of me and my people. And look at me now, right? You would never see me like this, even I would say 6 months ago. So that's what it's been like for me. And I encourage other people to do the same.
Okay, Shailaja, for women who are watching this, what is your message after 20 years of working, in the corporate world? What do you think about balancing corporate life and your personal life? Because that's something that gets us in tangles.
Yeah, I know. So, one of the things I always laugh about is people talk about corporate life and personal life as if there are two separate lives. It's one life. It's one life, and it's always going to be imbalanced. There is, so again, I talked about that stereotype, that ideal we keep chasing. We keep chasing a balanced life. There's no such thing as a balanced life. And then we torture ourselves and we torture other people because we can never hit that magical number of a balanced life, that mythical 50-50%, everything squares equally, right? All sides are balanced, right? So really the first thing is to accept that it's an imbalanced life, but there are certain parts that can become more congruent than others. But there will be that ebb and flow. So sometimes we need to pay more attention to work, sometimes more to children, sometimes more to our husband, right? So it's like the cosmic dance of Nataraja, where he flows between these 9 different forms. And that's, as women, that's, I think, what we need to do. These 9 roles that we're playing all the time, right? With these just 2 hands where we really need 9 hands, is that flexibility and that movement, and fundamentally that acceptance that life is this dance, and then we need to switch and flow between these, and that movement and that flexibility is what will give our life meaning. So instead of the rigidity of balance, enjoy the flexibility of imbalance.
Okay, thank you very much, Shailaja. And one last question before you go. What is your response to the term my story?
My story is all there is, right? Everything that has come before us, everything will go after us. What anchors us is our story, where we've come from, where we are now, or where we're going to go. So it's this river, it's really the journey of our lives, right? And how we flow, what are the obstacles and challenges that we face, what are the mountains that we circumvent, right? And when we finally join that great ocean, wherever it lies, right? What will give our meaning is really my story.
Thank you so much. And it was so good talking to you. Thank
Thank you so much for inviting me, Nandini.